Welcome to SSUC.
Spiritual Seekers United in Community.
We are an inclusive community seeking to live out a more just and generous spirituality.
We believe spirituality isn't about doctrines and beliefs, demanding agreement,
but is about living fully and loving deeply.
What unites us is our desire to create community where all belong.
Where we're all safe to be ourselves.
Where we can question and ponder and seek meaningful lives.
We affirm that what matters most is who we are.
How we treat each other.
How we work to make our communities better.
We welcome the entire human family.
All ages, all colors, all abilities.
All cultures, all genders, all sexualities.
All religions and traditions, or none.
So, if you are curious and have come to see,
if you are tired and have come to rest,
if you are grateful and have come to share,
if you are journeying and have come to grow,
if you are wounded and have come to heal,
welcome.
Welcome.
If you are joyful and have come to shine,
welcome.
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 Welcome home.
Good morning. Welcome, everyone. We're so glad you've joined us on this last Sunday in June as we're honoring Pride Month, a time to celebrate our colorful diversity of gender identities and sexual orientations, a time to acknowledge the struggles for the freedom simply to be, a time to lament violence and hate, a time to remember the courage of so many LGBTQ2S+ individuals and allies who've resisted inequality and inequity, who fought for acceptance and worked for the right just simply to be. And we stand with those around the world who are still struggling for dignity and inclusion, those who are imprisoned, persecuted, executed, or targeted for being discovered to simply be themselves. Thank you for choosing to be with us, whether you're here in this room in South Edmonton or you're joining us from wherever you are online. We take this time as spiritual seekers united in community to express radical hospitality to all people. And we take a moment to locate ourselves not only in time, but also in place, acknowledging the land with which we live, the long history of Indigenous people in this land, the rich heritage of traditions, ceremonies, medicines, songs, stories, values, teachings, which have survived and struggled to survive systemic racism and colonization. We honor again in this month of Indigenous peoples' history our commitment as immigrants and settlers, our commitment beyond lament, beyond our recognition of the deep wounds of the inexplicable acts of inhumanity. We also acknowledge our commitment. Whether we live in treaty territory, as we do here in Edmonton in Treaty 6 territory, or on unceded land, may each of us and all of us together find respectful, hopeful, healing relationship as we make our way together in this storied land. We take a moment, as we do each time we gather, a moment of intention. As we light our candle here in this space, we invite you to light yours wherever you are joining us from this morning. And collectively, we place a new light in our midst. A light that honors the long story of light of which we're each part. Honors the light that greets us in this new day. Light that has traveled far and deep in time and space to meet our eyes. And we welcome and we celebrate the light of diversity from our histories and our cultures, our languages, our traditions, our varied social locations. And we center on the flame that we have placed before us to open to the mystery of being, just as we open to the mystery of fire. With earth beneath us and the stars above us, may we honor the light within us, within each of us, and all of us. We sing that light of belonging as we make our way with one another this morning.
In
we take this moment to collectively set our intention with one another about how it is we choose to live, how it is we hope to live, how it is we try to keep one another accountable to our living. And so we offer this, our prayer, in words we share together in our diverse voices, but in one spirit. In caring for one another, may we be untiring. In challenging one another, may we be respectful. In sheltering one another, may we be strong. In holding one another, may we be tender. In the expectations we have of one another, may we be realistic. In the songs we sing with one another, may we seek harmony. And in loving one another, may we be all these things and more as we seek to be inspired to live more nearly as we pray. May it be so. As we've discovered again and again with one another, there is so much wisdom in children's literature. So for the child within all of us, the wounded child, the brave child, the wise child, the healing child, this story for today, it's okay to be different. A wonderful story by Todd Parr. All right, you're already ahead of me. It's okay to be missing a tooth, or 2, or 3. It's okay to need some help. And it's okay to have a different nose. It's okay to be a different color. It's okay to have no hair. There are a lot of votes for that one. It's okay to have big ears. And it's okay to have wheels. It's okay to be small, medium, large, extra large, or as the case has become in COVID, extra fluffy. It's okay to wear glasses. And it's okay to talk about your feelings. It's okay to eat macaroni and cheese in the bathtub. But please try it at home. It's okay to say no to bad things. It's okay to come from a different place. Even when you feel like you come from a different planet. And it's okay to be embarrassed. It's okay to come last. And it's okay to dance by yourself. It's okay to have a pet worm. And it's okay to be proud of yourself. It's okay to have different moms. It's okay to have different dads. It's okay to be adopted. It's okay to have an invisible friend. It's okay to do something nice for someone. It's okay to lose your mittens. It's okay to get mad. It's okay to do something nice for yourself. It's okay to help a squirrel collect nuts. It's okay to have different kinds of friends. It's okay to make a wish. It's okay to be different, as you are special and important just because of being who you are. That's the message from the author. Love, Todd. And we're here with each other today to celebrate that it's more than okay to be different. We sing a kind of affirmation to one another, a song in many ways that is a love song to each other, a love song to community, to diverse community. We sing as we affirm each other.
So, question number 1, what does pride mean to you?
Pride to Buddy means being free to be oneself. Eating lots of biscuits.
Thank you, buddy.
Well, to me, pride is year-round. Every day is Pride, every day is Black History Month. I live in New York City, so I'm surrounded by queers all the time. But sometimes when I go to other towns, I see people who are like, this is the one time a year I get to unabashedly hold my partner's hands in the street.
Pride to me is having the ability to be truly yourself, celebrating in color and having that pride, literally during Pride.
Pride to me means celebrating our shared experience as queer people. And it also means the opposite of shame, which is what Brené Brown talks about on her podcast. She's so good. She's amazing. She's amazing.
Pride to me is just knowing exactly who you are and being it fearlessly with 110% of your being.
I mean, it's always going to be a celebration for me. So pride is a celebration. Celebrating who I am. It's celebrating what I've been through. It's celebrating those who have put in the work to make the change to happen today.
To me, pride means a chance to celebrate who we are. It's also a recognition of how much work there is to be done for true equality.
Pride means fighting back. Even before Stonewall, activists declared their pride in opposition to a government that told them they were sick and immoral. The very first Pride Parade, exactly 50 years ago, was a march of resistance. And now, as we unite to protect the most marginalized in our community, it's time to make Pride an act of resistance once again.
Last year, I was part of the Reclaim Pride Coalition, and we marched up Fifth Avenue instead of down Fifth Avenue to bring attention to the corporate celebration that Pride had become.
To me, Pride means I am enough. My queerness, my blackness, and their intersections are not my burden, but my superpower.
Pride means celebrating every single layer of yourself and living out loud with no shame. This is who I am. Take it or leave it.
Pride means a lot to me, but June takes on a special meaning because it's the month I got to do my show, Night of 1,000 Judies, where we gave back to the community. And at the heart of Pride, I think, is the community.
Pride is about resilience and honoring the folks who came before us in the fight for queer liberation, the folks who were on the front lines, especially trans women of color.
It's a time when we come together to remember our history, where we come from, born of riots, and to take that energy and use it to envision a future free from oppression for all people.
Pride means to me an opportunity. An opportunity to, while we are celebrating, remind everybody that the trans community still faces so much discrimination.
Pride to me means being unapologetically yourself 100% of the time.
Pride means standing in your authenticity no matter what anybody thinks.
The opportunity to walk in authenticity and in integrity, to show who you really are, no matter who you're in front of.
It's about being your full self in every room that you're in. It's about honoring your ancestors and your history.
What Pride means to me has changed pretty dramatically over the years. When I first came out, for me, what Pride meant was just simple exposure. And when I think of Pride now, I think of Barbara Giddings, I think of Bayard Rustin, I think of the Mattachine Society, and I know more now about why Pride is so important, but also why Pride is so impactful.
What Pride means to me is honoring our movement's elders and veterans and honoring them with direct action.
When I celebrate Pride Month, I think about the fact that it was Harvey Milk who first exhorted us all to come out wherever you are, to family, to friends, so that we can replace myth and stereotype with a slice of reality.
Pride is a time to celebrate, to come together as a community, and it's also a time to look forward to what we need to do as a community.
Although this year it will likely be, lots of glitter and maybe a marathon of the Golden Girls alone in my living room, which is fine.
Pride to me means every year taking inventory of my journey as a queer person and really just coming together and being proud of where we stand and where we can go.
I'm so proud to be part of this unbelievable community. This community that accomplishes things that, 25 years ago we never could imagine.
Pride is extremely complex. There are so many things involved, not only making sure that we are taking allyship as far as we can go, but also just celebrating our existence. For so many of us, it felt like perhaps we weren't going to make it. We were never going to be able to live an authentic life. And sometimes during Pride, I like to just look around and celebrate that I made it, that we made it.
And that's our treasurer there in the middle of that picture. In case you didn't recognize her. I want to share the words of the amazing poet, Irish poet John O'Donoghue, from his very too short life. In his writing a collection of poems to bless the space between us. This is his poem for belonging. May you listen to your longing to be free. May the frames of your belonging be generous enough for your dreams. May you arise each day with a voice of blessing whispering in your heart. May you find a harmony between your soul and your life. May the sanctuary of your soul never become haunted. May you know the eternal longing that lives at the heart of time. May there be a kindness in your gaze when you look within. May you never place walls between the light and yourself. May you allow the wild beauty of the invisible world to gather you, mind you, and embrace you in belonging. May these words speak resonance in our lives and deepen our sense of belonging to ourselves and to one another. I want to tell you about two amazing teachers in my life. Just about everything I learned about pride, I learned from an incredibly humble, heterosexual couple who lived in love with each other for more than 63 years. Bert Fry was born the same year as my mother-in-law, 1920. And Evelyn Fry was born the same year as my parents, 1926. They were a generation ahead of me. They grew up in farming communities just outside Edmonton. Bert grew up in Josephburg, and Evelyn grew up in Bruderheim. Bert lived 92 years, making a difference as a teacher, a school psychologist, a minister in the Moravian Church and then in the United Church of Canada, a father, grandfather, friend, mentor. And then in retirement, he took up the vocation of activist. Evelyn made a difference for 88 years, working in her early life as a medical secretary for many years at Alberta Hospital. In the 1950s and in the 1960s, when many gay men were confined and treated there as though their sexual orientation was a disorder or a disease. But even then, Evelyn's heart told her that homosexuality wasn't a disorder, it wasn't deviance. And she never lost her passion for sexual and gender justice. She worked alongside her husband, Bert, as a teammate in ministry and in teaching. And she never retired from her true vocation as an activist. I met them in the 1980s at Metropolitan Community Church, where Charles Bidwell was our pastor, and where LGBTQ2S+ persons were in the majority. So when a straight, white couple of seniors came to a service, they stood out. They were serving small, rural United Church congregations at the time, and they were leading the way with education and conversation about the full inclusion of all people in the long work of respectful inclusion for leadership in our spiritual communities and the long and winding road toward marriage equality. In their retirement years, they founded and hosted diversity conferences that celebrated diverse gender identities and sexual orientations. And they were so easy to spot in the Pride Parade because they were the ones who were wearing the biggest smile and giving the most hugs. But for me, among all the shining moments of affirmation and all their acts of solidarity, among all their efforts to move churches and society toward greater justice and inclusion, among all those remarkable things, it was an ordinary conversation around their kitchen table that impacted my life most deeply. They spoke so lovingly about their 4 sons and the joy and the pride that they felt in their children. And then they said something I had never heard any parent say before. They said, "You know, Nancy, we're so proud of our family. Our only disappointment is that not one of our sons is gay." Bert and Evelyn Fry were the parents and the grandparents we all needed. They made every LGBTQ2S+ person they met feel like their beloved son and their beloved daughter. And their words have come back to me on so many occasions as I've reflected on my own experience and the experience of so many of us who are gay or lesbian or bisexual or trans or two-spirit or non-binary or gender fluid or gender dysphoric or just not easily placed on any letter were we to use the whole alphabet for the spectrum. I have no doubt that parents love their children deeply. I have no doubt that my parents loved me deeply. And like the parents of so many LGBTQ children, I have no doubt that most of our parents are proud of our accomplishments. But it's another thing all to be together, to be proud of your child's gender identity or sexual orientation. And to celebrate that deep expression of authenticity and identity. As a parent, to find that to be a source of pride you have in your children. I share this story about these 2 remarkable people in my life as we celebrate Pride Month as a lesson in the dimensions of pride and allyship, what it really looks like. How did it happen in our culture and in our Christian tradition that we came to confuse pride with arrogance? How was it that somehow life taught us that pride is not a virtue? That it's the opposite of the virtue of humility. And it's to be avoided at all costs. My earliest learnings about pride came from the Bible. I remember that proverb I learned as a child, "Pride goeth before destruction, a haughty spirit before a fall." And in its shorthand version, we've all heard it in common culture, "Pride cometh before a fall." But I realize now it wasn't pride that we ought to have been warned off of. I've come to know that the opposite of pride is shame or self-rejection. And the antithesis of arrogance is humility. In fact, pride has a whole lot more to do with a healthy sense of self-acceptance and self-worth, and has very little to do with an overinflated sense of ourselves. And it's good to feel pride in one's accomplishments and in each other's accomplishments. It's good to take pride in our work. It's good to be proud of the unique humans we are. That's not to say we're proud of everything we do, because we're not. But how could anyone ever tell us not to be proud of who we are? Whatever our strengths or our capacities or our identities, that unique expression of love we each are in the world. We know that movement for pride that we celebrate every June began as a protest against invisibility and inequity, against oppression and discrimination, an uprising for the freedom just to be oneself, to dress, walk, gather freely, dance with whoever you wished, love whoever you love, be true to yourself. It was 53 years ago in the early hours of the morning, on June the 28th, 1969, New York police raided the Stonewall Inn, a popular gay bar at the time. Raids like this were not uncommon. What was uncommon on this occasion was that the patrons pushed back. They pushed against the beatings and the arrests and the shaming and the outing. And those protests went on for days, and they moved out of the bar and into the streets and into the neighborhood. This courageous resistance became the catalyst for the Pride movement, the quest for full human rights and dignity for all gender identities and sexual orientations. Perhaps the freedom to be fully and wholly human is always born of protest. And protest, in its healthiest form, can be the place where pride begins. Pride of color, language, culture, race, ethnicity, sexuality, gender identity. It's never enough to say, welcome, irregardless of this or that. That's like saying, despite of this or that. Pride is saying we all have a rightful place, and there are no preferred colors of skin, and there's no hierarchy of good, better, best in human sexuality or gender identity. Pride is the celebration of the freedom and the gift to the world when we honor and foster each other's capacity to be fully and authentically our truest and our best self. May the wisdom of the poet, John O'Donohue, whose words we heard a few moments ago, may we live into that wisdom. May we listen to our longing to be free. May there be kindness in our gaze when we look within. May we never place walls between the light and ourselves. May we never place walls between the light and another. And may we move one another from shame to pride, from rejection to radical acceptance, creating space for each other to be, calling each other into belonging, naming each other out of an anonymous crowd into loving and healthy community. As a community, we celebrate together and we grieve together. We honor the cycle and circle of life. And today, I share with you that this week, SSUC lost its oldest member. Marian Seguin was 103 years old when her life came to completion on the long light of the longest day of the year, on solstice. Marian was a lover of food and a lover of life. 103 years young, a farm wife and mother. She would have taken great delight in what was happening in this place over this past week of community gathering, working together, and raising funds for a community she loved. She baked many a pie, many a bread pudding, and many a cookie to raise funds and fun for this spiritual community. A remarkably hard-working, generous, and caring person who brought great joy to our lives for all these years. We will gather to celebrate the light of Marian's life On the 4th of July, which somehow seems very appropriate for someone who's, you went into her home and CNN was always on at full tilt, and she was a remarkably informed critic of US politics. So on the 4th of July, we will gather to remember and celebrate Marion, to share stories and to share the remarkable light that she passes to us, the next generation. And we sing, as we do each time, we acknowledge the passage of a life and a light in our community. And we affirm what we know to be true, that she and we are safe in the undying light of love.
Safe in the undying light of love. Safe in the undying light of love. Safe in the undying light of love. Safe in the undying light of love. After all our grief, all our stories, all our joy, the one we now remember, the ones for whom we burn. Safe in the undying light of love. Safe in the undying light of love. Safe in the undying light of love. Safe in the undying
For those of you joining us online or those of you in this room that live just a few moments away, there's an opportunity to gather with each other on Zoom, to share some of your reflections with each other on our theme this morning as we have honored the celebration of Pride. An opportunity to talk with and engage each other, to have just a bit of reflective time together as community. So you'll find the link on our website, and you're most welcome to be part of that conversation. As Linda May has been inviting us over the last few weeks, and as you have so generously been donating, we have emptied the bin a few times already this week with your contributions to our collection of new underwear for men, women, and children for the Bissell Center. So we thank you for those of you who have shopped and dropped them here. And for those of you who haven't had an opportunity to do that, there's still time. You're welcome to drop them off here at the church when the office is open this week on Monday and Tuesday, and or bring them on next Sunday. And Linda is here this morning. If you're not really a shopper and you would like to have someone shop for you, Linda's just in the back with her hand up, and she'd be happy to take a cash donation and ensure that it goes to this particular fundraiser for the Bissell Center. So we thank you for what you've done, and we're really hoping to surpass our goal from last time of 500 pair, and we're working for 600.
We're now at 476.
Whoa, we're at. So for those of you online who couldn't hear what was offered from the back row, we're now at 476 pairs, so not far to go to surpass our goal from last time. So let's do our very best for the Bissell Center. We still have a little time to do that with each other. I'm going to invite Sandra to come on behalf of the organizers from the garage sale team. Our deep gratitude to Sandra, to David, to Joe, for their remarkable work in organizing a miracle this week, actually. And those of you that have been in this building over the course of the week know it was a miracle. This building was filled with your contributions, and now it's back to looking as though nothing happened, and most of you are looking like you survived the miracle. So, Sandra, welcome. Come and share with us.
It's working, and I have it in the right place, Art? Right? Okay. I take great pride in this last week's accomplishment. April 2019, we came together for our annual garage sale, and then came COVID, which put our sales on hold for a couple of years. But this spring, we came back to life. And these garage sales are so much more than raising money. It brought us together, our church community, the wider community. There was laughter, sometimes hugs, catching up, visiting while doing all the tasks needed to pull off Garage Sale 2022. Somewhere between 85 and 100 volunteers over the course of the week. Long hours, tons of lifting and toting and moving and arranging and pricing and selling and wrapping and cleaning up. The thank yous are more than I can list. I'd especially like to thank our sale team, Joe and Ann, David and Rod. I know David and Rod are here somewhere. There they are. And especially my husband, Art. On behalf of our team, a simple and deeply, deeply felt thank you. And now, you'd probably like to know how well we did. Okay. About $12,500 was raised. To everyone in this room, to those of you online at home, to a few neighborhood folk and friends of ours who popped in to help, to absolutely everyone, it was a huge undertaking, and we had a great time. I hope people had fun. It was marvelous to hear the chatter, to see people coming together, some who hadn't seen each other for 2+ years. So thank you. Thank you for the food that was lovingly prepared and for the care that was given to the workers. So thank you, everyone.
We'll have a few opportunities over the course of the summer to enjoy the gift of some local artists and music. 2 weeks from today, on the 10th of July, we have an opportunity to support the Bissell Center and also a young artist in our community, a harpist. You'll find more details on our this week's messenger, which is posted on the website. 2 o'clock, 2 weeks from today, a benefit with Christina Kant. We look forward to sharing that afternoon together, an hour from 2 to 3. Thank you for the time, the effort, the care, the financial support you bring to this community. If you'd like to purchase grocery cards today to support us, they'll be available in the foyer. And if you wish to make a contribution while you're here today, there is a box that can receive your contributions at the back.
Everyone born, a place at the table. For everyone born, clean water and bread, a shelter and space, a safe place for growing. For everyone born, whose star overhead. And we will delight when we are creators of justice and joy, compassion and peace, as we will delight when we are creators of justice and joy. For a woman and man, a place at the table, realizing the roles, deciding the share, with wisdom and grace, dividing the power. For woman and man, assistance and spare. And we will delight, we are creators of justice and joy, compassion and peace. Yes, we will delight when we are creators of justice and joy. For young and for old, a place at the table, a voice to be heard, a part in the song, the hands of a child in hands that are wrinkled. For young and for old, the right to belong. And we will delight, we are creators of justice and joy, compassion and peace. Yes, we will delight when we are creators of justice and joy. For gay and for straight, a place at the table, a covenant shared, a welcoming space, a rainbow of race and gender and color. For gay and for straight, a kinship of grace. We will delight, we are creators of justice and joy, compassion and peace. Yes, we will delight.
As we change our light, we each add the energy of our breath, the energy of our intention, of our commitment to give ourselves to the whole enchilada of living, to the bitter and the sweet, the familiar and unfamiliar, the peculiar and the precious. As we take our leave of this table, we go with love into a hurting world to do our part, to build a kind and generous and gracious table where we hold one another in kindness and in care. And so we go, and we go in grace and peace and great love.